Okay, so we are going to start looking at our first assignment problem here. It's going to be the inclined support. And what we have here is we are going to be drawing in SolidWorks the outside perimeter first. We're going to extrude that a thickness of a 1/2 inch, okay? And then we're going to be putting the hole in the middle and taking that as an extrude cut. So we're going to do this in, if you would, 2 features. One for the outside perimeter for the thickness for the part, and then the other one is going to be making the cut for the circle. So what I've done, I'm going to change over to SolidWorks here. I did open up SolidWorks. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be creating a part. Okay. So make sure that you select the part when you go here into SolidWorks and then hit OK. And then it's going to kind of prepare the menus and all that kind of stuff for us. Over. Now, we're going to want to check our units right away. So in this case, on the part that we have, it says that for all of these exercises, all of the dimensions are in inches. So I am going to make sure that my units down here are in inches. In the bottom right-hand corner, it says IPS inch pound seconds, which is perfect. Okay. And then what I'm going to also do is I'm going to go up to the very top where I have my little gear here, my settings. And I am going to do a couple things there. We're going to go over to the tab that says Document Properties. And we're going to go down to Units. And then we're going to change the units. Now, this is a personal preference. I personally like to have 5 decimal places. And I have 5 decimal places because when there are, for instance, things that are to the fractional inch increment, sometimes those decimals go out to 4 and 5 decimal places, okay? And I like to have all of them there. So for instance, if I have 1/8 of an inch, it's 0.125. I don't like rounding to 0.13, okay? I like to put 0.125. So, and then if it's others, like to the 32nd of an inch, you're gonna have 5 decimal places. So this is a personal preference. You don't have to set this to 3. You don't have to set it to the number that's in the drawing. You can leave it at more decimal places. So you're gonna see my dimensions at 5 decimal places. If you have less than that, that's okay, all right? Then the next thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go up to dimensions here, okay? And I just wanna be sure, I'm going to be looking here. I thought there was, oh, maybe it's not this one. I'm going to expand this out. I'm going to go down to under dimensions. I'm going to go to linear dimension here. Okay. This is where it should be. And I'm not sure why this does this, but the overall drafting standard is in ANSI, which we set earlier and it was there. But underneath for the dimension standard, for some reason, it has it at ISO. I'm not sure why those don't coincide. So we need to change this to ANSI instead of ISO. Okay.
What would happen if you leave it at baseline inside?
And it's at ISO. For our purposes right now, it doesn't really matter because we're just making the models. But when we start doing drawings in a couple weeks, it defaults to whatever this is. And then we want to have it in the ANSI standard. Go ahead.
And now is this for every class period or every time that we
open up SolidWorks? Yes. Yes. Yeah. Until we learn how to do a template, which is going to be like in 2 or 3 times that we're together. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, so let's change that to ANSI. And the other one that we want to do is actually 2 more. We're going to do it on diameter, ISO to ANSI, and we're going to change radius from ISO to ANSI. And the big difference here is you can see, for instance, on the radius here, notice how the note looks. And if I go to ISO, it goes like in a line like that. That's the difference. And I'm not sure why when we have this set at ANSI, why the dimension doesn't automatically go to ANSI, but it doesn't. Yes.
My overall drafting standard for some reason is set to ISO.
Yep. So then you can change that as well. So if you go back to the drafting standard, there's just an arrow down next to that. Do you see that? And you can put it on ANSI. Yep. And that's where I don't understand why SolidWorks, when I change it there, it doesn't update the other ones. I don't understand, but it doesn't. So, so those are the couple things. That way, when our dimensions come in, they're going to look, I'm going to say normal, okay, instead of the ISO way. And then the other place that we want to check is just going to be down here a little bit over halfway down. We want to check, oh, we did our units, and just make sure that those are in the IPS and the decimals that you're interested in having. Okay. Once we have those couple things checked. Now, somebody asked in the room, if in case you didn't hear it virtually, if you don't change it to ANSI for those couple different of settings and you leave it in ISO, for our models, it's okay right now. But when we do create drawings, it's going to be that we have to go in and change it manually. Okay. So if you get through a drawing and you realize, oops, I forgot to do that, don't go back and redo that. All right. Okay. So, so now we're ready to get started. I'm gonna kind of go underneath here. And the first thing we have to do is we have to kind of make our part. So typically we approach a part by, we're going to kind of pick the area and create a profile of some sort that we're going to want to extrude or make a thickness of. So since we know that the thickness is 1/4 inch, and this is kind of like a front view of this, I'm going to start in this lower left-hand corner, and we're just going to work around the outside perimeter here as far as we can go. And then work with the dimensions that we have. We don't want to, I don't know if you would like calculate any dimensions, because sometimes there can be errors that can be induced or variation. So we want to use the dimensions that are here. So I am going to go back to SolidWorks. I'm going to start in that lower left-hand corner. So because I know that I'm going to extrude or create thickness for this profile, I'm going to go right into the extrude function. The example that we did last time, we started with the sketch function. You can do it either way, but it kind of saves a step because, for instance, if nothing is selected down here to extrude and I click the extrude button, it automatically is going to go into the sketch mode because it needs a sketch to extrude. Okay. So we are going to select the front plane to sketch on. And now it kind of, oriented itself to us. So now you're going to notice that it automatically changed the tab to the sketch mode instead of in feature mode. Okay. So again, we went in underneath the extrude function and it's automatically going to say, okay, you don't have a sketch selected. So we've got to select, or we got to create a sketch first. Now our origin is in the middle here. Make sure you tie to the origin. All right. So that first point that we're going to lay down with that bottom line is going to start at the origin. So I am going to click on my line command and I am going to hover over the origin here until it gets like activated with that orange circle. And once it's activated, I can left click and then I'm just gonna put my line out here. Then I'm gonna go straight up. Remember, we're sketching. We're not trying to make anything exact. But we're going to go around the outside and try to make it as close as possible to what we see. Be in front, down. And again, it's giving us the coordinates of where we're at, but we don't have to worry about that because we're going to be adding dimensions here. Once you get down to the bottom and you close it up and make sure that it is closed, you're going to hit escape. And now we're ready to add some dimensions. How did that go for everybody? Any questions right now? I'm going to open up the chat box. Okay. All right. So remember, this is our rough sketch, we call it. Now we're going to be adding the dimensions that we see. So that's what we're going to be using down here. So the dimensions we're going to be adding are only the ones that are here. We're not going to be adding any extra ones. Okay. So I'm going to start by putting my 3-inch dimension in, my overall 2-inch dimension, and then kind of work from there. When we start our dimensioning scheme in SolidWorks, we do want to start with kind of the overall largest dimensions, okay? And then work from there. Otherwise, sometimes our sketch can flip on us. So I'm going to go to Smart Dimension. Now remember, if I hit that little box below, there are a lot of different dimensions, but Smart Dimension can figure out a lot of them for us. I know that I'm in my dimensioning mode because I have that dimension symbol next to my cursor, and I'm going to start by hovering over that horizontal line at the bottom. Make sure you don't go to this point. Otherwise, it's going to try to dimension that point, and we can't dimension a point. So you want to be on the line itself. And I'm going to click that line and come directly down below. And then I'm going to click another time. So left click both. And now I want this to be 3 inches. So 3 and enter. So now what it's done is it's used that dimension to proportionally then put everything else in place. The next dimension that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do the overall dimension. I'm gonna go from the bottom, because there's not a continuous line going from top to bottom. So now to get this overall, I need to use the bottom line. It's gonna think I want the 3-inch dimension, but I'm gonna go straight up to the top line, left click that, and now it gets it. It knows that I want that to be the overall dimension. I'm gonna left click out there and I want that to be 2. Okay, and notice that it automatically updated it to do that. Now I'm going to dimension kind of all the way around. I know that the length of this line on the top is going to be 1 inch. I know that the distance from this end point to this end point, and I'm going to go straight up until I get a horizontal dimension, is 0.75. I know that the height of this vertical line is 1.5. So notice that some of my lines have turned black. Not all of them, but that means that those particular lines are fully defined. That's our color, right? And if we go down here, notice that we're still under defined. And the other thing I want you to, oh, you can't see it right now until we go out. If we would go out right now and exit the sketch, in front of sketch 1, we would have parentheses with a minus sign in front. And that's why I want you to always expand those features, because that lets me know if your sketch was fully defined. And if it's not, that's bad. It's bad. Okay. All right. So the next dimension, and again, I'm using the ones that are here. I'm going to do this vertical line. Oops, I'll admit Christian. Vertical line. This is going to be 0.5. This one is 0.75. This one, 0.25. Then we're going to go from the bottom to that point, 1.25. And you're going to notice with that dimension, I'm going to hit the escape key. All of my lines all the way around are black. And if I look down here, bless you, I am fully defined. So that is the goal with any time that we sketch. We want to be fully defined. Since I'm fully defined, I can exit my sketch. Now, because I like to say I went in on my extrude function, that extrude boss base, it's going to automatically now, because it has a sketch, it's automatically going to extrude this sketch. And notice that just like the last time we were together, its default when you come into SolidWorks the first time is going to be a thickness of 0.1. I'm not sure why, but that's the number. So we can see a little bit of thickness here, but on the note that we see on the top of our problem here, the thickness needs to be 0.5. Okay, 0.5. So we're going to go back in and we're going to change this dimension to 0.5. And then we'll see it get a little bit thicker. Now this is still in preview mode, okay? And until we hit this green check mark right here, now it's actually done, all right? I'm gonna left click outside so that I don't see that sketch anymore. And now if I use my middle mouse button, you can kind of see the outside here, okay? Now, you'll notice that over on the left-hand side here, here's our design tree. This boss extrude 1, this symbol out front means that this is a feature, okay? And I did the extrude function or the extrude feature to get that. This is where I want you to expand that out. So this triangle to the left, we're going to click on that and you're going to notice I have sketch 1 here. If there would be a parentheses minus sign in front of sketch 1, like right between here, that would mean that you didn't fully define. When I look at your models usually look real good, but I look more over here on the left-hand side and I make sure that each one of those sketches do not have that minus sign in front, okay? So do not hand in if it has that minus sign because you won't get points for it, okay? And make sure that this is expanded, otherwise I'll take off points because it's not expanded because I need to see that. So that tells me that you were fully defined. Okay. What I'm going to do here now is I'm going to do my first save. I like to save so that I don't have to redo anything that I already did. So I'm going to go up to File, And I have to do a save as. Notice that the generic part name right now is part 1 and it has an asterisk. The asterisk just means that I haven't saved since the last time I made a change, okay? So I want to give it inclined support as its name. So I'm going to go to File, Save As, and now I'm going to navigate to wherever I want to save. Now remember, the OneDrive, if you're here at school, or you can go to a flash drive, I suggest both. Just because if you're at home on a personal computer, you can, save anywhere to a directory that you want to assign there too. Okay. So I'm going to leave that up to you. Yes.
I completed the assignments, but I just went back into my OneDrive and I don't see anything else.
Okay. I'll address that in just a little bit. Not your OneDrive. It shouldn't your OneDrive. So, so let me take a look here. I'm going to go inclined _ support. Okay. So I'm saving that in my module 1. That's how I have it categorized. You don't have to have all the things, just always know where it's there, where it's going to be going. Then what we're going to do is we're going to add the whole. I'll address the OneDrive thing in a little bit when we get done with the part.
If your line is blue, but you feel like you gave it a dimension, why would that be? If they turn it black?
Because maybe, usually it won't turn black until you have a couple of them around it. Because, it might need a relation or it might need another dimension to fully define it. So sometimes, not all of the features will turn black just because the dimension went on it. It might need some more information to fully define it. So until you get all of them on, it won't probably fully define everything. Yeah. So let's put our hole in now. Now our hole is going to be taking material away. Okay. So that means that we're going to be adding an extrude cut this time. We're going to be cutting material away. So I'm going to go into the extrude cut function. So notice that this is extrude boss base. That just means that I'm like creating thickness. I'm going to add material. And over here, I'm going to do an extrude, but I'm going to cut this time. So I'm going to click on extrude, cut, and it wants me to select the plane or the face that I want to actually create this feature on. So I'm just going to select this front face right here. You're going to notice that there's like an orange outline around it. Make sure you're not on the top or any one of these inclined. You want to be on this front face right here, this front face. And I'm going to click it when it's activated. And now it's going to like position the screen so it's straight on. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to the circle function and I'm going to click on that. And the first point that I'm going to lay down is going to be the center of my circle. And you want to kind of put it about where you think it's going to be. But again, this is a sketch. I'm going to be adding my smart dimensions after. So my first click is the center and my second click is a radius. Just going to put it out there and I'm going to accept that circle. Now I'm going to smart dimension it. So I'm going to click on smart dimension. I'm going to click on the outside of that circle and I'm going to pull it over. I'm going to left click over here. And this is going to be a diameter of 1. So that symbol out in front is a diameter. Not fully defined yet because for circles, I need a diameter the size of the circle, but then I also need the location. So I'm going to go back over to my drawing and you're going to notice that I have a 1-inch dimension from that left side and I have a 1-inch dimension up from the bottom. So I'm going to add those 2 dimensions. Don't go from any other sides. They have to be the same dimensions. Back over here, I'm still in my dimension mode. I'm going to go from that bottom surface to the center here. Then I'm going to pull out and I'm going to go left click. And this is going to be 1 inch. Then I'm going to go from this left or the right hand side to the center. And this is going to be 1 inch. There we go. So now that I have all 3 of those, notice that it went black and it says fully defined at the bottom. Okay. So I'm ready to exit. And because I went in on an extrude cut, I have to zoom out here a little bit. Remember to use your roller if you need to, or use the F key to center. Whoopsie. The F key to center or the little things there. I don't think it says the F because it's looking for a dimension. And what I like to do when I'm in cut, I don't know why it doesn't change it for us, but I'm going to rotate this a little bit. And I kind of want to see what I'm cutting through. So I want to make sure that the direction is in the right direction, and it is. But just like last time that we explained on our adjuster, we don't want this to be blind. Why isn't it? Oh, stop. I'll put 0.1 right now. I'm going to change it from blind. So I don't want it to be blind. If I do it as blind, even if I match the thickness of 0.5, if that thickness ever changes, the dimension for that hole is not going to change. And as I look at this, there's a good chance it's probably going to always want to go through. So what we're going to do is, in this case, you can either do up to next or through all. They would both be the same because this is a uniform thick part. So I'm just going to use through all. And then this way, anytime I change that thickness, if it ever comes up, it'll always be through however thick that is. And now you're going to notice that I don't have a dimension that I need to put in here. And then I can hit OK. And I have my hole going through. Here again, you're going to notice that we added a cut extrude. And I want to expand that out so that I can see my sketch is fully defined. Okay. So now what we're going to do is I've saved it once already. I'm going to do a file, save. And so it remembered where I saved it to. And now what we're going to do is we are going to prepare it so that I can get a screenshot. Okay. So now that I'm all done and I have all of the features identified, I am now going to create a screenshot to include all the elements so that you can get full credit. Okay, so first and foremost, go to your features and make sure that they are expanded out so I can see your sketch and that the sketch does not have any minus signs in front of it. If it has a minus sign in front of it, you need to go back and edit that sketch. To edit that sketch, you simply left click on it and you go directly above here and you're going to see that it says edit sketch. You're going to go back in by editing that sketch and now you're back in that sketch mode. Notice you have the sketch tab up here and you could change whatever it was or add anything that you needed to. Okay. But I'm going to hit exit. I'm good. So, so if you need to do that, make sure that you do that. And then you want to rotate this a little bit so I can see that it's a 3D form. And I want to be able to see like all the features. So I want to make sure that the hole is through and I can kind of, a view about like this. Now the screenshot that I'm going to take is I'm going to use on my laptop here. It's the Windows Shift S. It's the Snip app or what do they call it? The Screen Snip app. We also had looked at, if you need to, you can go down here and type in snipping tool. I think it is. Yeah. Snipping tool app. And you could use that to capture the area that we're going to do here. So I'm going to do my Windows Shift S. The screen is going to like dim. And I'm going to go up to the upper left-hand corner of the screen. I'm not just getting a snip of just the model. I want the entire design tree. So I'm up in the upper left, whoopsie. Upper left-hand corner. And I've got a left click and hold and drag, drag, drag. I'm going to get my design tree in here. I'm going to get my model in here. And I'm going to go far enough so that I can see the name of the file and make sure the name of the file matches the name of the part for each one of these. Don't call it part 1, part 2, part 3. Call it incline support, all right? And then I'm going to get that. And now that's on my clipboard, or you would have saved it in that snipping app, okay? Now that I have it on my clipboard, I can open up, for instance, a Word document. So I can open up Word. You could also do this in Google Docs if you wanted to. It opens up there too. And now it's just remembering what I have. I'm going to start a new blank document. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to either right click and use paste, or you could do Control V. And that's going to be the first one that's in my assignment. I have 5 more to do. So I'm going to hit enter. And I'm going to then save this somewhere. So I'm going to do a save as, and I'm going to browse, and I'm going to browse to where I save mine. Mechanical design. And this is going to be assignment. Now, I'm not too concerned about what you name these files because you're going to be uploading the files to the assignment. So you're gonna want to name it something that's gonna make sense to you. So I'm calling it assignment 1 because it is assignment 1. I'm gonna save that. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna keep this open because then I'm gonna add my next screen snip for the next part on the same document, okay? If you use that snipping tool app, you can save it right away as, I think, a JPEG or a PNG, right? And you can use those individual files and upload those, all right? So I'm gonna keep this like open. And now I can go back and I usually like to save just one more time. And then I'm gonna go to my next file. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to stop the recording right now for this one.